And give me the extent of your injuries. Not, I know you're disabled, but tell me what injuries you can assign to the police in terms of what they did to you.
Oh, I had a concussion to the point where I couldn't remember my last name. I kept giving them my husband's last name as my last name. I couldn't remember. I could say the president was Hillary Clinton, and I could not remember the date or any of the questions they asked me, or even my own birthday.
Okay, and how did you get that? How did you get the concussion? Describe that for me once again.
And when I was trying to sit down, the officer slammed me into the door frame. I believe that's when, but they also slammed me into the house, into the ground. They also, shoved me. I almost felt like at one point I had been kicked, but I can't verify that for you.
Okay.
And then I have a shoulder sprain. I'm supposed to have my arm in a sling. I have a neck injury related to a whiplash injury. I have bruises and scrapes on my this is all on my right side, this neck injury, the concussion, and my shoulder injury. I have bruises and scrapes on my left side, on my arm, and my left knee is swollen, which is my injured knee, and my left foot is injured and was slightly discolored last night. I had scrapes up and down between the knee and the foot. When I returned from the hospital, I still had grass that was stuck to me so much that we had to scrub it off with soap and water. So that tells you that they didn't just didn't push me to the ground. They forcibly drug, you know what I mean? They literally put me to the ground hard enough that grass got embedded in these cuts.
Okay, now in terms of your husband, did he have any injuries?
Well, he has a shoulder injury, and it was really aggravated by them handcuffing him. They were very brutal when they handcuffed him. They hold his shoulder so hard that it's swollen now today. He had an injury a while ago, and he has like kind of a perpetual bursitis in that shoulder. And that was really aggravated by his treatment. And then he has bruises on his ankles from the ankle restraints that they put on him when he was detained. And they also let him sit in that room with no shirt, no shoes. The female officer, Officer Jobs, wouldn't refuse to get him a blanket or any sort of protection from the air conditioning. Another officer, whose name he doesn't know, had to force Officer Jobs to take care of him.
Let me ask you this: what did your husband try to flee? Did he do anything to like run away or give them a reason to get physical?
No, absolutely not. He sat on the stairs of the porch. The stairs, we don't really have a porch, we just have stairs, 3 stairs that come up into our entryway. He sat right there the entire time. He did absolutely nothing to make those police officers feel threatened or intimidated, and neither did I. Other than I refused to get the weapon until they got a warrant. They did convince my oldest daughter then to produce the weapon for them. And at one point, my daughter thought I had been tasered by the police officer. Because she had her taser drawn and pointed right at my chest.
Okay, now let me just go over this from the point that the police showed up. Just a moment. Can you hold a moment, please?
Sure.
PoliceReach.com, can I help you? Yes. Yes, this is Miss Elliott? Okay, I'm doing great. I'm on the line with a client, and I'll be finishing in about 10-15 minutes. Can I call both of you back? Okay, thank you so much. I'll be right back with you by 10:30. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, ma'am, I'm sorry about that.
That's fine, that's fine.
Okay, so let me continue. Let me just go from the point that you guys had the police show up. The police arrive, they're demanding the weapon. You tell them that the weapon is secure, that they don't have any right to it, and that they need to get a warrant. And then they suddenly become physical. Is that correct?
That's correct.
and they slammed you into the door frame and into the ground, and then at some point drugged you on the ground. And your husband was not. Where was he? And how did he get knocked? Did he get knocked down, or did he get on the ground on his own?
No, he never left the steps of the house. They physically pulled him up and handcuffed him very roughly. I mean, I didn't see it. I can only tell you what happened. I mean, at this point, I'm being beaten, so I can't pay attention to what's happening to him. But at no point did he do anything other than scream at them. She's disabled. She's a Commonwealth employee. She's disabled. You're hurting her. I mean, that's all he ever said to them.
Okay, and let me just go over that issue now with your employment. So, do you have a criminal background of any extent?
I would not be able to hold the position I do with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania if I had a criminal background.
Okay, so you don't have a criminal background. Do you have any history of antagonism with the police in terms of you personally doing things that would be considered obnoxious or threatening?
No, sir. I work with the police regularly in my job. I work with them on a constant and regular basis as a union steward. I have employees that I represent that work for the Pennsylvania State Police. The only thing that could be considered antagonistic in that situation is a situation where a trooper and a civilian employee of the Pennsylvania State Police have some sort of disciplinary altercation, and it is my job as the union steward to defend the employee to the best of the civilian employee to the best of my ability. That would be the only time that I would have any sort of confrontation, you know what I mean, with an officer or anything like that. It is entirely in my position as the president of my AFSCME local and a representative for the civilian employee.
Okay, and the reason I ask that question is not to offend you, but a lot of people assume that anyone who has this kind of encounter with the police must have a criminal record, they must have some sort of axe to grind, and we find an extraordinarily large number of people have no previous record with any problems with the police.
As a matter of fact, I actually, up until yesterday was a big supporter of the state police and really believed in what they did. Police officers, I still feel today, even though this happened to me, police officers have horrible, horrible jobs. And you have to commend anybody that's willing to do that kind of work in order to keep the public safe. I understand that maybe I just had an experience with 3 bad officers, well, maybe a few more, but overall, I think that I generally firmly have to believe that anybody that's willing to do this job and put their life on the line every day really deserves some sort of kudos, because this is not a thankful job for them.
Okay, one more question. You said 3 officers. Which officers would you consider to be most involved, and describe what they individually did?
Officer Jobes, she was just evil from the beginning. I don't know how to explain it. She was mouthy and loud. I believe, and Officer Falcone was the other one, that they were both involved in attacking me and brutalizing me. As to who did what exactly, I can't tell you. I believe firmly that it was Officer Jobes that slammed me into the door frame and pushed me off the steps and into the side of the house. But I believe Officer Falcone also was involved in that. Officer Anderson my husband said, is the officer that was putting him in handcuffs.
Okay. You still there?
Yes, and my family told me that they believe that Trooper Anderson was the one who actually called for the ambulance after he realized the extent of my injuries.
Okay. All right. I think I have enough information now to give you some additional advice. Based on what you've told me so far, you have at least an unprofessional conduct and an excessive force complaint. Based on my reading, I'm an expert. I do expert witness testimony against police officers and police agencies, and I want you to you should file this complaint. I know you had some